And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about the delay there. I think we've got a mic coming in here, I believe. And
Should
there
be
we go.
good.
We do. Good to go. And I'm Nathan Guerra. Welcome to, and this is Dave Toll. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We're into season 2, week number 2, out on the RGV with America's East. Right now, we're going to be covering the women's Division 1 and 2, as well as the men's. On that side of things, it's going to be the men's America's East Division 2, ABC, as well, to make sure that we are going across all of the divisions as best as we possibly can. Today, as a heads up, Zwift Power had struggled a little bit, so we're going to make sure that we keep you up to date on how things are going on that front, and we'll as the splits do come in, we're hoping that all of the data is working fresh and good. Good to see everybody in chat. We see a lot of people excited actually to be hanging out with us. So it's really great to see the Americas broadcast growing, Dave, as this definitely is one of the most energetic crowds that we have actually out there, it seems like.
I'd agree. This is when you look at it, there's been a lot of exciting racing coming out of this division through season 1 and into season 2. Expect the same thing. Some of our best squads in this discipline of the team time trial are located right here in America's East as well. So get ready for what should be a real throwdown out here today. Almost 25 kilometers as they're out on Route Grande Vitesse. This world is absolutely beautiful, stunning what Zwift did. When they created France. This goes back to the virtual tour from what seems like a few years ago, only a few months ago, back this summer. So get ready. It's a perfect course for the team time trial as well. If you appreciate this discipline, this is the kind of course that you're looking for. So, Nathan, we saw some very fast times. And I think one of the things that tells me that this course is great is how close the teams have been, whether it's our communities that have already raced or in the Premier League. It's come down many times to a handful of seconds for the win.
Yeah, it has. It's really, really close actually. In the Premier League, but also earlier today we saw just a half a second in a couple of the situations for those top spots. Really cool to see how close the competitions are, and really, it is because we have moved to a results based ranking system that is putting these riders up against each other, and because of that, most of the races have been around that 1 to 2 minute separation between the top spot to the bottom spot, which is always really cool to see how competitive things are. Someone's always got somebody to chase that's not too far ahead of them and not too far behind them, chasing them down to make them go faster. Let's jump right out on the course, though. We are in with the first starters on the day in the women's field. And this is going to be Rathbone, Tullis, Betty, as well as Scarlato taking off
Yeah,
onto course.
that is a multi-time U.S. national cyclocross champion, Laurel Rathman. There is this will be the team then stages that we're looking at. I believe Paisley Sheehan is going to be the rider right behind. Actually, that's going to be Jane Tullis that we're looking at here. So this is a team based out of the United States, Colorado to be exact. That Stages is a company that makes the crank-based power meters that are so popular, and they're located right there in Boulder. So let's see. I'm wondering, is that Elijah Beatty that we're looking at there? I'm going to dig in. That's what Zwift Power is for. If that's the case, Elijah comes from your neck of the woods, raced for that Minnesota-based junior development team. You know, that's one of the, you can get caught up in this game before I go too far in depth with Elijah Beatty here. I should make sure that it is Elijah, but she is a Marion University student. She may have just graduated, but one of the very talented young American riders. And it would make sense that because she would have gone to school with Laurel. Trying to find that one, figure that one out here.
And it's one thing that I absolutely love, though, about the platform is how many people it is bringing out of the woodwork. Always really great to see. And I think you're right. Elijah Beatty is what I'm seeing here
Oh, great. That's
as a
her.
part of this. Jane Tullis, Laurel Rathburn, and 100%, and Mia Scarlato. So really cool to see. And Marion University, what a college when it comes to the
Yeah.
support of riders coming up and through the world of cycling. It's one of those, key universities in the country that's always had an amazing cycling program.
We've talked to earlier shows about how supportive Zwift has been of women's racing. Well, Marion had caught that vibe very early. Collegiate racing, your women are equally important as the men as far as scoring goes. So if you focus a little bit more on the women, it goes a long way. And Elijah Beatty, as I mentioned at Marion, Laurel Ratman at Marion, that was also the school of Corinne Rivera, Katie Keogh, some of the biggest names in the elite level of American cycling have gone through Marion. They've done a tremendous job. I don't want to leave out the other schools that, there's the Fort Lewis's and the University of Colorado's. You look around the country, and there are plenty in the United States, I should say. Obviously, this is an international broadcast, but as we stay here with the Stages team, the learning curve is steep, as we've said, with e-racing. It's even steeper with team time trialing. Had a great discussion with Martin from WTRL before the show, how many nuances there are. And even just the start format, Nathan, gathering in your pen, understanding that when the banner drops, that doesn't mean that everyone starts. You have to know your team's setback on the time and calculate that all in. And doing this without a director, or doing this successfully without a director sportif, is nearly impossible. It's not worth trying. Using a director is absolutely the way to go. And we're starting to see more and more athletes. Josh Klickner comes to mind, someone who shows an affinity for that, working with athletes. And he went from being an active Zwifter himself to now working with the 2024 team. I think that's a great story.
And I really think the reality of the platform and what it brings when it comes to the opportunity is the highlight there.
Yeah.
Across the community at all levels, all levels. I mean, we're talking earlier this morning, talking about the new juniors coming in, and as well amongst the moms on side right, inside rider trade, the dads inside rider trade has always been a theme. And then that meeting up against the kind of Zwift Academy, aspiring juniors, aspiring U23s going into the pro ranks, and then obviously the highest elite level that we have, mixing it up amongst them all. It really is amazing how it brings all of that together into one community. Now, you do see in the lower left-hand corner, that's the current standings in this category that we're looking at right now for the America's East Division 1A, Sarsa Pros Classic, with those 20 points from last week, Finesse Rockets. You do see this, the Stages Cycling WA is here at 13 points, so having a solid ride, but it looks like maybe Rathbun on a little bit of a kick here and dropping a couple of riders at this point. On the chase is going to be Royal City. We'll see how they end up playing out. I'm not sure that they got a lot of points last week, not being in the top 10 currently. So maybe going to be able to make up on that, though, with a solid TTT, because a very different thing when it comes to experience, as well as just the pure power of an entire team showing up on the day. So perhaps we'll be able to see something from Royal City today to get some points back, as Revo is chasing them down. Revo, it looks like, also outside of the top 10. Oh, excuse me. Nope. Top 10 here with 11 points was from Revo Whips. And I believe that's who we're looking at right now, with Lutton, Neger there, and Shields and Low in that top three. Amongst them, Live or Live with Betty Squad then on the chase behind them.
All right. So as we pick up, so this is Revo here. Good. I love seeing Jessica McWhort out. So you've got Revo and the Revo Whips. And this then would be, apologize here, that's going to be just the straight up Revo team that we're looking at. So the aqueduct that you'll see coming up in another 6 or so kilometers is the real pinch point on the course. And I wouldn't even call it a pinch point, to tell you the truth. It barely hits a 5% grade, and that's only for it's about a minute that you spend on the aqueduct altogether, but it is one of the few places that we see teams starting to unravel. Nathan, the squad you've got right now, the Finesse Rockets, this is Danielle Baker, the mighty Catherine Monks, Christy Neild, Paige Bolt, Sarah Bishop, and newcomer but experienced pro Tara Freder. Very, very impressed. She finished second right behind Claire Cameron last week in this race where Sarah's the Pros Closet went in with a decidedly aggressive strategy, just blew the race to bits in the first few kilometers. And one of the riders that not only survived that but made the final selection was Tara Freder. Absolutely a game changer. That's who we've got on our screen right now. A lot of in real life experience. She actually is a fantastic story of someone with a huge heart. She and her husband Jonathan went over to Africa and worked with riders over there before coming back to the United States and becoming parents. And now moving into that next phase where they're parents of a young daughter, I believe, and getting back into racing. Her husband Jonathan also will be out racing, I believe, again tonight. He has been. It's been really nice to see Tara embracing this format, and she'll be a leader on this Finesse Rockets team, which, Nathan, in my book, will be the number one challenger out here to Sarah's the Pros Closet, at least on paper. These are two of the teams. I Race Like a Girl, another team you absolutely would want to be watching for out here today. We've got some very strong squads in the America East. This is one of them, the Finesse Rockets.
Rockets here putting it to Sarsa Pros Closet, it looks like here. Megan Rathwell. And then it's going to be Cameron now making her way to the front. Who is on the front end of? Let's just make sure. For some reason on the back end, I do apologize everybody on this, but for some reason on the back end of the race, we are sometimes not seen in the riders list nearby all of the riders. I'll see if I can get it to populate here in just a second. We do see Eastler on the back there. I'm going to assume that's Christina Grossman perhaps on the front at this point, hammering away. And no headband there. Do you see a headband anywhere? Maybe
No,
Anna's
and I'm
changed
very
some things up.
concerned.
There is Grossman. There is Grossman on the front there.
Christina Grossman, another one of our favorite stories, the owner of the Galga, the Spanish greyhounds that she adopts. What a fantastic example of someone who's a level 50 Zwifter who has really embraced this. She and Kristen Kolchinski kind of came into this thing together, and they both have gone a long way. That's Claire Cameron, last week's winner. Really, the winner was Sarah's the Pros Closet last week. Anna Russell, our colleague out of New Zealand, pro triathlete. Jasmine Welter, very strong German rider. You mentioned Megan Easler a little bit, and then the Canadian Megan Rathwell. Megan Easler and Megan Rathwell make up this Sarah's the Pros Closet team. Oh, Evelyn Gagnon, the other rider that I missed, another Canadian on this team. This is talked a lot about in previous broadcasts today about the distribution of talent and power throughout your team. This team personifies that, Nathan. As a matter of fact, Sarah's the Pros Closet, much like Heino in the Premier Division, pretty close to your perfect team.
Yeah, pretty solid effort here so far as well. And you can see how incredibly organized Anna's going to be, really keeping everybody on point, directing them, telling them exactly where to be, when to be there. That was one of the things that she really hammered away on this morning as well. One of the points we were making and carrying on into the EMEA broadcast was how incredibly important positioning is, being exactly where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, not overstepping the wheels. If you overstep those wheels, you are causing more power to have to be put out by your teammates to get by you. There's disorganization can happen. People can get confused about where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. You can see Christina overlapping a little bit here. Most likely, see the back off there? You're saying, no, Megan, that's your spot. Megan now needing to close that down. In. Yep, getting right onto the wheel, having to bump it up. And now it's Megan. Oh, excuse me, not Megan, actually. That's my mistake because the riders nearby list was incorrect there for me. But whoever Christina was sitting on there then. Now. Being one of the riders that needs to close that down because that was completely on them to bring that back. And you can see the back off again, maybe just a little bit extra power in the legs, getting a little antsy to try and take over. Now Megan going to the back, 8.4 watts per kilogram. It does, again, I'm going to highlight that I believe Megan coming into this second season with a lot of fitness in the legs, it seems like she's been really strong the last couple of races that we've seen her a part of.
No kidding. And that's one of the issues that you have when you are, I don't want to just be so blunt as to say the strongest rider on your team, but let's say the rider who's having a great day. You have to learn how to be judicious in your use of the power and not blow your team up by trying too hard. That's really the name of the game. Nathan, going back to what you're talking about with the director, Anna Russell was on our start list because she was in the pen. She's now in the team car with this team. Uh, but you'll learn a lot watching this squad. And I would even going back to that conversation about what the director sportif is doing, a lot like an air traffic controller, to tell you the truth. Basically, a little bit of encouragement, but more than anything, you're basically continually lining up the squad. I mean, you would hear, okay, Grossman, you're next. Easler, get ready. You're going to be going after Christina. Then we've got to change. All right, we're going to pull this rider out. So, go ahead and slot in. That kind of thing is what you would be hearing. And anything more than that is superfluous. All you need, just the facts, ma'am, is what you'd be saying, as we're in it now with Megan Easler here. I'm glad, really good look at this team. That's such a beautiful shot, the sunflowers here. The aqueduct that they're coming up on, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it took 1,000 men. Get this, when we talk about the hard work that our 6-rider teams are doing, Nathan, over 35 minutes, well, those aqueducts took 1,000 men 5 years to build. That is a lot of work that went into just crossing over that one river there, as we look at a team that has now found their rhythm. And it takes a while sometimes. You just sort of need to get your feel, get your legs underneath you here. And now they are flying, hitting almost 45 kilometers per hour through this cobbled section here, getting some of our first split times in. Again, very close, 3-second difference between Wadi Inc. and Ego Watt here. 17:09, the fast time there at that 12-kilometer check. We're getting, you can see that they only changed by 1 second there from check 1 to check 2, Nathan. I'm looking to see, it looks like an 8:29 from Finesse Rockets. What was the fastest time? And I have a feeling we're not seeing it here. I'm going to guess that it was Saris, the pros closet. We'll see.
Have to wait and see if we can get an update on that. I have a feeling maybe missing a rider through on a tag or something along those lines. We're going to move forward here, though, as I'm looking to find Ego Watt, actually. A new team this season. Really be on the lookout for them, I think. Ego Watt are on the radar. 17:12 there. Wadi Inc. Super Kitty 17:09. Ego Watt was coming through with an 8:56 on the last split, and that's a challenging time. Going to be, on the radar for maybe a top 5, top 6, top 7. That 8:29 though from Finesse Rockets really setting the bar, I think, at this point, alongside of whatever it is that Stars Pros Closet are going to be coming in with, trying to chase them down. CC2, I think, have been caught by Finesse Rockets, so their Rockets there with that full 16:29 just coming through absolutely fine as they hit the aqueduct right now.
Absolutely. Flying is right. As a matter of fact, this might just be their day. That's one of the beautiful things about the team time trials. You just never know what you're going to get. So that's 16:29, significantly faster. We'll stay on task to figure out what's going on with Saris, the pros closet here. This is the aqueduct that we've been talking about. I've had more technical issues myself today than any other day in my history with Zwift. So I don't know, maybe there's sunspots going on or something out there. But the Finesse Rockets not being affected by it. Nathan, almost every team, when they hit the aqueduct here, and that's as they go through, traditionally we'll see sprints or bonuses awarded there at that arch. But this isn't as bad as it might look, is maybe a good way to put it. Just about every team will see these small gaps open up as they make their way up and over the aqueduct and see that welded back together right about now. But if we looked behind, I mean, you've got 4 teams within about 20 seconds of each other right now. Got a moment here on the aqueduct.
Yeah, and I think the aqueduct is kind of becoming a meeting spot. Interesting, with the catches.
Yeah,
a
not
lot of times
intentionally,
right
but
now.
it sure is. Yeah, I'll meet you at the aqueduct, Pont de Garde. Okay, yeah.
A little bit of a watering hole here now at this point. Interesting enough. So, we'll see. Now it does look like though, Rathwell. Now, the question for me is where did Finesse Rocket start on this overall leaderboard?
Second to last, I believe, Nathan, is my guess. This is based on reverse order, based on how you did at Richmond last week to start ZRL season 2. So they would have
So
been the second to start, second
So
from
the
last
Rockets
to
having a
start.
really good ride then because they have ridden away a little bit, I think, from
So,
SARS the pros closet at this point.
well, they would be chasing them, right? Or, excuse me. No, you're absolutely right. Riding away from them. Absolutely. I apologize, Nathan. So that's going to be Sarah's the Rose Closet here. Just their jerseys look very odd to me. Something's going on because unless they all change jerseys, that's not the team kit.
No, just Ganyan is using a green kit in game.
I see. And then,
A couple
right, and
of
you
the
can see
riders
that.
once in a while do use just a green kit and not the SARS the pros closet
And the
kit
other riders, when
in
they're in the
game.
shadow, that yellow and green looks really different. Or else I need to go see my eye doctor. One of the two. But that is absolutely the kit. It was in the shadows that was throwing me off.
Gallopin here now also with a solid time. It looks like so far. We're actually looking at the C division though. Here, America's East Division C. That we could go ahead and jump across to that race in just a moment. We do have them out on course as well with Cure Sports. It looks like is one of the first out on course here. So let's go ahead and jump across, and then we'll jump in with the men as well. We'll come back into the Division One in just a second, but definitely want to cover as much as we possibly can across all of the divisions. We do have many of them going off throughout the entirety of the day, and this is going to be Women's America's East Division 2C, and it's Doibis and Lopez and RG Cycling there for Gregory there and Rappaport all taking off out on the course first. I believe they are going to be sitting. Is that correct? They're currently sitting in third place overall at the 12K mark. So having a solid ride. ATP Racing Beware though, they are the ones that take the top spot so far. That most likely is going to get overtaken though by AT Racing Beehive, who had a 10-minute flat at the 6K.
That 1950 from ATP Racing Beware. I'm curious when we go back and look at the splits coming out of the A's, how that compares. I have that just got a little bit quicker there. It's Herd of Otters 2 through with a 1948. Here you go. Another barn burner, folks. As this one now, we are looking at only 10 seconds separating our top three teams, and they're through half of the course at this point. Herd of Otters, 2 seconds quicker than ATP. That's going to be the Beware team, and they're, let's see, 8 seconds in front of Beehive now. It's not that much further back to see Sisu I Race Like a Girl. The Zenobia team sitting at fourth, Coor Sports C sitting at fifth right now. Full Send women's team slotting in at sixth. This is going to be interesting. So we talked a lot about scheduling. Teams going out very hard. This course baits you into it, no doubt about it. Flat and fast, and you start to really, as you click off those early kilometers, you feel like you are really moving. Well, you are, but carrying that momentum over the aqueduct and then into the second half of the course, that's the name of the game because that's where the race is won. We call it the intestines. As you make your way through that twisty section, much like the S's, that section that brings you into the villa where you finish after 24.9K. Well, it's going to be interesting because you're going to need every second. I'm going to guess, Nathan, this one, our C's, goes down to that. 1 or 2 ticks on the clock might be the difference out here.
Yeah,
Cannot afford
Zenobia,
to.
they're just getting themselves back together, it looks like here. 10 seconds there for a moment over at that 12K mark. And then it did look like a couple riders did get dropped off. I think that was trying to bring one of the riders back into the fold, though, it looked like, because one of the riders that dropped back came flying through and immediately to the front. And that was going to be Williamson, I believe, here. This is going to be Zenobia. Not too bad of a time currently, but 2009 getting beat out, it looks like. Now, again, Beware. Reval Truffles getting in the middle of it all. And then ATP Racing Beehive. So ATP with 2 teams in the top 4 at this point. Lee Watts Sisters there at a 2032, currently in 6th. Course Sports now dropping down to 2052 in 7th. Full Send women's team is a great name at
It really
2206
is.
right now.
We should, as we're talking about ATP, we should send a shout out to Jim Withers. I definitely appreciate Jim. We've been talking about folks reaching out via social media. And Jim is the old honey keeper on Zwift. And he's been sending honey to ATP teammates for quite a while out there. He's an extremely cool guy, cornerstone of our community. So thank you, Jim. We appreciate you. I hope Jim is watching tonight. He's got two teams sitting in the top. Well, right now, I should say top four because the Revo Truffles team coming through with a 1953, putting them right in the mix here. So again, to update on our splits, this is at 12K, Herd of Otters 2, fastest with a 1948, ATP Racing Beware, and that's Jim I'm talking about in the Honey connection. The theme for this squad, pretty easy to pick up on. So Beware is second, 2 seconds back. The Truffles from Revo, just 3 seconds behind them. And then ATP Racing Beehive in fourth. Right now, the 1958, a 2009 for Sisu. I Race Like a Girl Zenobia, who Nathan was noting, was getting their act together out there through the middle part of the course.
Turning up all the honey from the beehives here.
Good
Is
job.
what's
Do you have
happening.
some coming from Jim, Nathan? I
Yeah,
hope.
I think Jim's sending along a little bit of honey to figure out what ATP is fueled on, is what it sounds like. So appreciate Jim coming through with that and letting us know what ATP is turning away with all the busy bees. Usually, probably consuming more than producing with the amount of
This
wattage that
group.
they're producing out on
Yeah.
course. That's for sure. As we look at Revo Truffles, is that who this is going to be, or just Revo? It's difficult sometimes with the names, and whether or not a marker there in game sometimes does give a little bit of help because there are so many different brand teams out there. But we are with Bicycle Way of Life is the name we're looking at here. Shoe, and then it's going to be Kelly Watts sisters though on the chase. It looks like in this
I like
C
that name.
category, and that's Lay Watts sisters. JZQ just coming over the aqueduct now. All together, looks like with 7 riders now as they come up over the top. As we're about halfway through the pack here in this C category.
One of the beautiful things about WTRL and the numbers are, that's one of the beautiful things, I guess. That's just the phenomenon part of it, is how many people are participating. But what I really love about it is when you find your tribe, I think is a good way to put it, in the Zwift community. When you find that group that does things with the style that you like and you enjoy, we were talking about ATP a moment ago, or cryo. Just when you find your team, it's a great feeling. It's one of the true joys of life is when you're with your people and you're doing your thing. Wadi Inc. could be considered the same. This is KTEL. I like that name. And the Wadi Inc. team here in our C's, I think they've got riders in just about every race that we do now, with a nice emphasis on triathlon, which works quite well for this team time trial concept, and certainly women in sport. It's very, very cool to see. Herd would be another great example of that. There's almost more herd teams than there are animals to name them after at this point.
Looking back here, we can get an idea of how the herd of otters is doing. Herd of Otters 2, were they the
Two.
top team that was going to be here? Yeah, well, at least, I mean, that it gives it's actually helpful. It is actually helpful if we have
Massively.
at least a marker in there to let us know which team exactly. I've got a 3 in there though, as well. So we'll have to wait and see if this is the herd of otters that we're looking for. We're looking for all kinds of herds. It looks of otters out here today.
Excuse me, ma'am. Have you seen a herd of otters around? They're like, we've seen multiple herds of otters. Are you looking for 2 or 3?
Interesting that they're using the slow twitch kit in game, as there is definitely a herd kit in game as well. So I really like the kit. If you haven't seen this design before, they have all of the
Beautiful
different animals that they use for the names there on the back of the kit. Well, I don't know if it's all of them. And they use, I mean, there's a ton of them with the stallions and rhinos and elephants and otters, as you can see. But looks like maybe what do you get? Do you have a guess here? Why we have one rider in the herd kit and then the rest of them in white? Is that like the team captain, you think, perhaps?
No, I'm going to guess that's just
A mistake.
a mistake. Yeah. You're so gracious in the way that you put things, Nathan, that I want to make sure I follow along. I just maybe an oversight or yeah, someone
There's
didn't get
no
the
organization
vote.
that at all. That is just a mistake.
Well, yeah, it is interesting though when you look at. I mean, the fact that when you say were you racing with the Otters? Well, that could mean any one of three different Otters teams, and it just shows you when you talk about nearly 10,000 people participating week in, week out. You start to see well the formation of interesting. I guess like in mining, when you find a vein, a good gold vein, you go down it. So some of the teams will use a space theme. Our friends from Z Sun have their own jam going, and certainly Animals has been a big one for the herd of blank teams out there. The Rockets are getting it done out here today. Again, and there you go. They really are, Nathan. I said they were the team to watch, and I feel like they have really delivered. This is the team that's trying to chase them down right now, as they unfortunately are on the wrong end of the pain stick. They're getting bashed with it right now by the Finesse Rockets, who are finding another level with that 24-44 at 18K. That's just a little more than 6K to go at the point that that check was taken. 25-18 is a significant gap. I'll be honest, I did not expect Sarah's to Pros Closet to find themselves in this the situation here of the silver standard. And they're going to need to keep doing work because they've got Cryogen Gallopin sitting in third right now. Agowatt, let go of my Agowatt, 2505 or 2550, I'm sorry, where they're sitting in fourth. And then Waddy Inc. Super Kitty, just 2 seconds behind them. Another 4 seconds back to Sisu I Race Like a Girl. This one is really shaping up to be an incredible race here. But the Finesse Rockets are the queens of France right now. Command performance for the squad. Nathan, they brought their A game today.
Yeah, we did just see Christina Grossman coming through with a power move, but it did end up creating a little bit of a distance between her and the riders there. And it was Easler that came on through. Grossman holding it together, keeping some glue, it looks like, at this point. And I have a feeling that this is exactly because the stronger riders are surviving at the front. Grossman with the kick as they came into the intestines there. Easler closing the gap down and taking that power directly to the front rather than easing off. Grossman bringing it back together, staying second wheel, tells me that she has a lot of power in the legs, and some of the other riders may be suffering just a tad. Cameron now making her way to the front, it looks like. Perhaps was that just to get back on terms, though,
Wow.
or is that actually making her way into a situation where she can take a pull? But Eastler continues on at 6.5 watts per kilogram, actually. Next to take over, it's anybody's guess, I think, until we see a big kick from one of the other riders now.
Nathan, if you look, Christina Grossman is a wattage cottage, no doubt. Now, her 741 watts is her 15-second power, and there's no other rider on that team. The other riders are all in the high fives or the low sixes. So this is a course that suits. I mean, Grossman is purpose built for this course, so she'll be taking longer pulls on the front out here today. And what have we? It's like a conga line right now.
Yeah, interesting. What is happening here? Where is the
I've
rest
never
of the
seen that many
Rockets
riders.
here?
That's 3 teams. That's 3 teams mixed together here.
I'm seeing that. Bishop here. Now, I think maybe all alone at this point. Are the Rockets up ahead? I'm looking around on course, or perhaps not
Alana,
just showing up here. But this is going to be Brady here from Cryogen. Gallopin, and they're currently in third place over at 25:36, but nobody on the wheel now at this point. So going to need a solid kick to get back on terms because things are all kinds of mixed up now. Going to need one more rider with them, and that is going to be Turner. That's going to need to come across to make that happen, perhaps. Now all the riders get back together, and with Sisu Do right on the wheel as well. I Race Like a Girl as post now on the go, and it's just a battle to the line essentially because it doesn't really matter at this point who is getting any kind of draft. It's all in, as we are going to have Crowgen and Sisu I Race Like a Girl coming together right along with Liv. Ego Watt now the next ones who are chasing things down, and here comes Sarge the Pros Closet. Everybody finishing right around the same time. Welter now up and out of the saddle. Easler's going forward as well. Here comes Gagnon, Grossman, and it's going to be Welter, though it leads them across lines. They pass up Ego Watt, and she gets even a little bit of a gap on her team members, Easler, and then it's going to be Grossman, the fourth across the line amongst these ladies. It will be everybody pretty
Well,
much in for the America's East Division 1A. We will jump back in to check in with the results in just a moment. We definitely want to catch
I
in with the C's here, as well as some of the B's and the C's from that division. So we'll start going through some of those other results in just a second.
looks like we've got a tie, though, Nathan. I think when we do see those final results, that it's going to be a win in a second for both Saris, the Pros Closet, and the Finesse Rockets here. It looks like Finesse Rockets had their day. We'll go back and take a look at that before we dole out the congratulations as we pick up Chucky. See Chucky, the herd of otters now. So this is our C's that we're jumping in with. We were just with them a moment ago. Good to be back.
Yeah, let's see if we can jump around a little bit here and find a few of the other riders. We move forward here, and this is going to be another Ganyan, actually. I wonder if I mean, there got to be more than one household, but maybe more relations here. This is Balloon.
I think
Uh,
Gagnon is like the Smith of Canada. There are a lot of Gagnons up there. Smith is probably like the Smith of Canada, to tell you the truth. there's plenty of Gagnons in the phone book.
Seeing if we can jump around a little bit here for, I know some of the other categories are looking for some C and B coverage in the Division 1. We are trying our best to get a hold of that in just a moment.
Uh-oh, I'm on my end having a little bit of trouble with Zwift Power right now. So I'll talk about the pictures. Champagne, the Watts sisters rider, they've got 6 together. That's an accomplishment in and of itself here as they're coming up on a little over 5K to go now. They're working as a unit here. Good job, ladies. Carrying some nice speed. Impressive work. This is a team that's getting it all figured out. 29:41, the fastest time now for Herd of Otters 2. It's going to be a bit quicker than ATP, but it's still in play out there through the final sector of the course, through the intestines. ATP Racing Beehive second, so ATP Racing Beware has moved up into third. That's gone back and forth. Zenobia's gotten it together now. See, so I race like a girl sitting up in fourth, and Coors Sports C slotting in at fifth right now. But again, the fastest time at that 18K check is 29:41 for the Herd of Otters teams. This is Les Watts sisters that we're looking at now. And we should see their split time coming up in a moment.
I'm going to jump forward and see how Waddy Inc. is doing here as well
It's going to be
as the
quick.
Watts sisters. This is actually, yeah, very, very quick. A lot of Canadian flags here. It's Canada versus USA, and a lot of in this Americas, of course, makes sense as the times go. But not used to seeing that. You know, usually a couple of more country flags, but definitely have a battle of the borders here just a little bit. As at the front here, it's going to be Galina's now taking over a little bit more of a mob style. It looks like here in this C category rather than a straight line.
Yeah, and we talk about efficiency and technique. Now, there's nothing wrong with the blob style, and if that's for the teams that are starting to get into team time trialing, you're going to find yourself defaulting to that. But you can see they're working hard here, the Watts sisters, Les Watts sisters, to get into that single file line. That's the coordination that a director can help you with quite a bit, Nathan, because the riders making those calls and shooting from the hip out there, that's one bridge too far, to tell you the truth. It's hard enough to be racing. It's another thing to even be able to communicate with your team, but having the ability to use the brain power to direct the team is best left to an individual that's not on a bike. And this is going to be DeBlanco of ATP. I'm not sure which ATP team this is.
We're looking at the D division here, so jumping in with the Blanco.
Another ATP team.
Hammering
Right.
away. Now we're gonna see if we can. We're probably gonna lose this category here in just a second. But DeBlanco coming across the line from ATP. We'll jump back a little bit to probably one of the herd riders in the D category here for the women, and it is going to be Blazing Bobcats actually here who are flying away. Sisu, I race like a girl. Pele a little ways ahead. The bounding bobcats, lots of bobcats out on course from the big ring. No, excuse me, herd. No, it's from herd. Big ring herd, both with a little bit of a green and blue kit in game here. So a little bit of a mix up
They
in
all got the
my.
same haircut.
They do. It's
They,
a lot of mohawks here
yeah,
with the
they,
bobcats.
they have a lot going for them. This is Roland here. They've got the alliteration with the bounding bobcats. They've committed to the Mohawk style haircut. I think that this team, when you're on, you go all in. That's for sure. Good workout here.
33:30 was the last time for
I
them. And it's gonna
saw
be the bounding the bounding bobcats is gonna
so
be with 33:48. The blazing bobcats there with the 33:30. Late Watt
not
sisters just ahead of them in 33:22.
not to be confused with the bounding bobcats. So there, here we go again. It's the the teams now again. Cryogen Marie Blanc. This is the D's that we're looking at with a 26:58. That was their time at 18K. They have finished now, as has the Atalanta team from Sisu. I Race Like a Girl. So I think we're starting to see our first finishers across the line. Nathan, I noticed the team was named Pele there. It'd be interesting to see if world football stars become, like if there's a Ronaldo team, etc.
That would be that.
That would be funny to me.
For me, that'd be going just a little far. That's a little. That's like a little bit.
That would be into the weird category. Are you saying?
Yeah, that's just getting a little bit too far for me. We have that's like this is the Brett Favre team. What?
Right, exactly.
Like
And
this is
there's a team called Brady and a team called Favre, and yes, right. Oh boy, the no drama llamas. Look at this, Nathan. They're in the mix here. 29:04 they finish with today. Good job. That's a powerhouse Canadian team. I think Canadian. I know they have at least one Canadian, our favorite Canadian.
One Canadian, one American is what I'm hearing as well. Let's go ahead and
Aha.
see if we can get some splits come in here from not these splits. We got into some other splits here. Let's see if we can bring these in to get the men's side of things. And this is the current situation in the men's with Base Media racing with the 23:52, Slow Twitch there with a 24:15, ATP Racing Ethane there at 24:27, Red Peloton 24:28 right now, Dirty Watts, and then it's going to be Radagast and Specialized BMW Cycling Team USA MES, and Turn Takers BBMC. That's the situation currently in the East Division 2A right now. A lot of teams that we aren't necessarily familiar with. That's the fun thing that we have here about covering some of the other divisions, is getting these new names out there and showing who's competing at the top end still, because this is a division still. It's just Division 2A for the Easts right now.
This is Kaiser, the rider that we're with here, with about a K and a half remaining. They're on a solid ride, no doubt about it.
Let's see if we can figure out exactly
It's like
Slow
Frank
Twitch.
Travieso. So, Nathan, bring me up to speed. We're looking at this. Must be Frank Travieso and the men. Frank is a rider out of Athens, Georgia, one of the best criteria racers in the country today. This is. Bring me up to speed, Nathan. Who are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is going to be the America's East Division 2A.
Men. And, and so that must be the case. Look at the watts coming out of these guys. They are absolutely flying. All right, a lot of moving pieces out here.
See if we can bring in exactly. You're obviously familiar with this rider coming on in, Frank Travieso.
I want to make sure. Yeah.
ZBMW is the team that I believe all of these riders are riding for. Zwift Power is struggling just a tad bit here. Level 32 Zwifter for
it is
Travieso.
So, yeah, that's Frank Travieso. So good. I just saw that Cuban flag is an indicator. Frank is married to Ashley, who is the race director for USA Crits, which people here in the United States would be very familiar with. And Frank is a racer, uh, not only with USA Crits, but just an outstanding. He's a leader in his community, a father of a couple young really cool young men. But I have to give Frank credit for when you look at it. You talk about him being a criterium sprinter. Well, Frank is much, much more than that. He defected from Cuba when he was a young man and has really done a tremendous job of being a part of a cycling community and the greater community where he lives. Hardworking guy, that's for sure. And they are just about done here.
It's gonna look
Let's
the
see what kind
Beaver
of a
making his
time
way
they
to the
can put
front.
up.
5.4, nice little kick, 500 watts. They're being chased by Slow Twitch now as it's Try Joe. And then we do have Nuger McLean now on the chase, though, for Sonic Endurance. Base Media then also on the chase. So interesting. Lots of teams, again, coming together at the finish line. There's a lot of chases going on. But it does look like Slow Twitch is going to be getting across the line before they get caught. Base Media now, next ones across the line as we look at them sitting in third place currently, the 23.52. Ascent Cycling, they're
Look at the speed.
23.39 at 56
Holy
kilometers
cow.
per hour. So Base Media here trying to take down those seconds they lost to Ascent.
Well,
On the Rivet Blurs there as well with only 2 seconds right behind them. They are going to take down Slow Twitch for sure with those last time splits.
they just might catch Ascent with the finale they've put together here. 5 riders bringing it home, showing the advantage of keeping an extra engine around there. Good job by Base Media Racing today. It'll be interesting to see, do they make up some ground on Ascent Cycling? Waddy Inc. Technopop sitting. So from that 18K check, we're just seeing our first teams finishing now as you see that Specialized BMW cycling team. And I see that William Kaiser on that team as well, another talented young rider. They stopped the clock at a 24:47, but we're going to be watching now to see if anyone's going to get inside of that. But I have a feeling that we'll see what that time looks like from Base Media Racing. But I have a feeling that might be better than just a top 3, Nathan.
They were absolutely flying there, 53 kilometers per hour. We can see the speed difference. So obviously, Base Media had the solid kick to the line. Leroy now up in the speed, really
They
not
had
coming up,
extra.
actually almost fading. They had like a solid 3-4 kilometers per
They
hour
were going
actually over what these guys are putting down.
57K. Yeah,
Absolutely
57K
flying.
right there. Yeah. They had extra, as the kids say. This is going to be Kavanaugh that we're looking at, the BBMC team. This might be the only team that finishes with 6, to tell you the truth.
I think
Absolutely
Kavanaugh
crushing it.
Kavanaugh just jumping on board here with another team, just hanging on in the back as the
I hope
turn
not.
takers. I think that's what's going on here with
Oh,
Kavanaugh
boy.
because you see turn takers hammering away and taking turns on the front.
And actually, he wasn't with them earlier, so I think that
No,
they've
so I
got a
think he's just
stowaway.
getting
Yeah.
he's getting a free ride, the caboose here. At least he's not taking poles at the front there as the Ottawa boys now come on through. It looks like Soslin's dropping the rest of his team off. O'Neill
Something
now
about this
coming
team's
through
name.
as well as what's that? Ottawa boys?
I like the Ottawa boys. That's easy to relate to, right? This is going to be Ratagase and Perot that we're looking at coming on home. Looks like all
Interesting. The
Canadian.
front, a lot of these front teams here, are dominating the leaderboard right now when it comes to the times, which is interesting that they are a lower seed, but they're coming through with some of the fastest times. Radagase way down,
Well, look at that.
24:41.
Yep.
So
We were not wrong about Base Media Racing absolutely flying. Now that 23:52, well, excuse me, they finished already. That 23:52 had them 19 seconds behind Waddy Inc. at that last check. I have a feeling they'll be within 10 seconds by the time we look at the final times here. This is going to be Gagnon coming across the line. Boy, we're
the
seeing more Canadian flags.
Dirty Watts here. It looks like so. It's a dirt team that's getting across the line. Another kick. Radagast there, one of the riders that get dropped off, just giving a little bit kick, not for anything as far as the times go. ATP, the next one with LeBlanc, Price, Brad, all sprinting to the line. This is going to be Ethane there. They were in also a top 5 position, I think, coming into the race here. Ascent, this is the team, though, that's trying to hold off on the Rivet Blur. Oh, no, did they catch on the Rivet Blur, actually? Is that what happened here? Because they have a 23:39 here, unless Blur has really brought something back. So that'll be the question between Blur and Ascent. Ascent, they are the ones to be watching out for, though, to try and take it down if they were able to
They
make up time on Wadi
passed.
Inc.
I believe they went past there. As it's going to be very interesting to see where they stop the clock. Talking about, well, it'll all come out in the wash. Here they go around the final bend to bring it home. Again, I realize that how fast you're going at the finish is not the name of the game here, but whatever base media racing was doing in the final couple Ks, I don't know how many seconds it got them, but they were moving 5 kilometers faster than just about every other team. They're going about this speed, to tell you the truth, as we're
To
in
give an
with Wadi
idea
Inc.
real quickly here, Wadi Inc., the important thing is that they started last, and they are bringing things home pretty quickly here at that 20 points. Ascent were the second to last, and On the River Blur were third to last. So they did get caught on the River Blur by Ascent. Wadi Inc. going to be the last ones across the line. KRT, I think, struggling a little bit out there, and were caught by a lot of the teams, as I believe that they were the fourth to last to go at 17 points from last week. But solid effort here coming from Jay Reich and the rest of the KRT team.
All right.
Kiss My
So,
Anthea, from what I'm being told. Kiss My Anthea is the name of the the team there. Loving the creativity coming on through.
all right. So these are all of the riders that have finished their race earlier. A lot of them are right now, I'm sure, just catching their breath, toweling off after a big effort. You might say, oh, it's only half an hour, a little more than half an hour. Well, you go much deeper in a team time trial, I would think, than any other ride that you do, on Zwift or off Zwift, to tell you the truth. Don't go deeper than this. As we'll be looking at the data here, ATP now, Brackens and Company should be our, I was going to say our final team on course, but that's not quite the truth, is it? So we'll get a look at one of the few teams that will have 6 riders. Not only do they have 6 riders, but they're in a pretty solid formation here. And now is the point where if a gap opens up behind your 4th rider, you don't worry about it anymore. With just a few hundred meters to go, it's time to get the horses back in the barn. This is draft B that we're looking at.
Having a solid ride, draft B. Look at how close all the times are, all within a minute. So wouldn't count any of these teams out just as yet. ATP about to cross the line here. Looking back a little ways, we'll see if we can find some of the other riders. Holt in there, CCNS, always a team to be watching out for. That was where the Mighty Mallers were coming from. As we look at Holton, Hughes, and a few others coming to the line. Lots of these Bs have already finished. See if we can jump in with some of the C category as well. This is mixed as well. It's good to see some of the mixed teams doing pretty well here in the C and the
Oh,
D category. So we'll be jumping in with them in just a second.
I see Jonathan Freder in chat asking about how the Finesse Ceres the Pros Closet battle went. And I would have to say, if you're on the Finesse Rocket side of things, it went quite well out there today. That was a heck of a ride by the Finesse team. They're going to be, I would hope they'll be really proud of that effort. Ceres the Pros Closet has gotten a lot of publicity, or a lot of folks talking about that team for a good reason. So when you can step up, the giant slayers, I would have to say, for Finesse, taking a huge win, if that's the case, I should say. We're still waiting for our official results to be confirmed.
We are looking through here now at the C category, and luckily enough, we did catch it here just in time to be able to catch a lot of the finishers across the line here in the C category.
It's going to be Parker with the Cruise Bike team. Again, teams start with 6 time off of the 4th rider.
We do have then 3K2 Cures. What I'm being told was who was just coming across the line. Now we're looking at Herd, though. There's going to be Lambert now with the kick to the line from Herd. And Herd of Nerds is the name of this team. As I'm loving, they probably
I
got some of the
didn't see
best
that
Zwift
coming.
wheels. No potatoes, no potatoes on this team. It's going to be nothing but high end Zwifting kits, that's for sure. Now, Team USMES out on course now, trying to chase this down, but it looks like they're being chased down pretty quickly here by Team TFC, right on their heels. And that's going to be the team with Jim Payton, I believe, in the yellow and black kit, trying to bring back this red and blue that you're seeing on our screen right now.
Right, these are the C's that we're looking at. As you can tell by the scenery that they're down to about 100 meters to go right here. I absolutely love this French world that we're racing in. This was unveiled back in midsummer of 2020. I was stunned. Certainly a pleasant surprise right in the middle of the COVID lockdown, or I hope the middle of COVID lockdown. There's Mr. Payton, Team TFC, the finishing up here, jumping in with Ayers now, the Creed team.
Hopefully, we can stay with him, but I knew we were not going to for that moment. If it gets too close to
Foreboding.
the line, there we go. I think we got him again, but he's just coming across the line. There is Ayers from the Creed team. And looking at the overall results, 29-14 at that 18 kilometer. They're trying to hold on to ninth place. We'll see if they can do so. Keep moving our
Saw
way
that.
through some of the
Saw that
rest of the
ride on
riders.
there. The blue thumb. Always nice to go on your companion app and support your favorite riders. I know they appreciate it. Get some ride-ons going. So it's been another big day of racing, and we're not done, as this is going to be Sonic PTC, some of our final teams out on course here in France as we're wrapping up the America's East division. We're moving over to America's West to wrap up day 2 of the Zwift Racing League. Big thank you to WTRL for their undying support and hard work behind the scenes to make the world's greatest racing league here. Nothing quite like what WTRL is doing, the World Tactical Racing League in full effect, and this is their speciality, the team time trial. 3 riders is not going to get it done. You're a day late and $1 short with 3.
I'm being told that this is Team Slow Twitch. Team Slow Twitch is what I'm being told right now. Ewing here now on the front with that.
So
Now, Ewing,
to finish, oh, sorry, Nathan, I just wanted to say that in this situation, I'm guessing that their 4th rider had a technical or some issue. So these guys, I am not criticizing at all. They're doing their race. And if you don't have 4, well, you're not going to get an official time. But you don't go through all of the procedure, getting ready, taking the time off from work, getting out there in the pen and racing to say, oh, well, if we don't have 4, forget it. I'm all for continuing to race, even if you have 3. And I'm sure you're with me on that, Nathan.
100%. It's not just about the results; it's also about the workout. A lot of times, the motivation
Absolutely.
to get a workout. For a lot of these guys, the racing, I think, is also just a part of like something exciting to do, to compete in, to keep you going. I mean, there is that
Absolutely.
reality as well, and getting together with your mates to um, sprint for stop signs is just as much of a thing here
Yeah,
in the Zwift world, as you compete for
that's
the finish banner instead of stop signs outside in the local group ride.
That's why we call it the intestines. If you look up in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you can see it looks like exactly that. Something passing through the GI tract right there as we pick up Ewing on the slow twitch team right now. But yeah, absolutely. And the difference between 3 and 4, well, for all intents and purposes, you can get the full team time trial practice in with 3. It's just you're not going to get an official time. But it's not always about the official time. A lot of times it's about the experience. And you still get the complete experience here. It's just a little bit harder.
Looking through for the rest of the groups to come on in. Let's see, do we have a D category in here? We do not. So we're just going to go through the C's now for this group. And then we'll start taking a look at some of the results as they do start to come in for the women's as well as the men's. Lots to cover across. I think a little bit of a learning lesson that perhaps we just need to focus in on 2 divisions at a
Yeah.
time if they're all starting all together. When we try and cover two divisions that started right around the same time, there's just too many A,
It's so
B, and C
much.
categories. So we'll
Yeah.
probably just start changing up on that so that we can just stick together with one across the board. But
It's
great
tough
job to all
because
the riders out here. We really want to, the
I
desire, the
know.
motivation is good, but the end result does not always end up great, even with the motivation.
Nathan, I really get where you're coming from. Sometimes it's that old adage, if you try to please everyone, which we honestly want to do, we would love to cover every race and be able to show your team. But when you do that, you kind of water down the soup so much that it's not good for anybody. So that's the fine line that we have on our end, or particularly Nathan's end, to produce the best possible show. So we're always working on it, folks, and we certainly appreciate your support.
All right, so let's go
Let's
ahead
see
and
what
take a
we
look
got.
here. These riders are going to be crossing the line and
Wow.
getting 40, 58,
Look how
59.
close.
So they'll be in the 41-minute mark or so
Only
with
2 seconds
slow twitch
apart.
here.
Sorry there, Nathan. Only 2 seconds apart for Cryogen Montduchat and Z Sunderdome there at that last check. It'll be interesting to see how close they are at the finish here. We've talked about Zwift Power being under a lot of pressure lately with the massive numbers. Again, I believe that they're saying that we hit another peak of Zwift today, very, very close to 50,000 people out on Zwift. So it'll be a little bit slower on the results. The machine is working, and there it is. Finesse Rockets taking the win. That's a big one for the Finesse Rockets. Is they were 32 seconds faster than Saris the Pros Closet today to take the gold. Silver medal for Saris the Pros Closet. Crouchin galloping in at third at 110 back. Another 12 seconds back to Waddy Inc. Super Kitty. They had a nice ride for fourth. Agawatt ending up in fifth. Sisu, I Race Like a Girl 2 in sixth. Misunderstood in seventh. Revo Whips for eighth. Core Sports ninth. And Stages Cycling WA. That's your 10th place team for the Americas East Division 1A Women.
Looking at the B category, Cryogen Marie Blanque coming on through with that 3.6 watts per kilogram for 36.52. ATP Racing Stingers is coming through for second there. And then it's going to be Sisu, I Race Like a Girl Freya, 36.99. Looks like in third. Agawatt Experience there with a 42.66 backs. 2 second difference between Agawatts today at fifth place for Agawatt Extra. Waddy Inc. Shipwreck there, 53 seconds back. CCNS Ladies there in seventh, right behind Waddy Inc. Shipwreck. And then it's going to be Herd of Hummingbirds there, 113. Stages Cycling WB there. And great shout outs today there, Dave, welcoming some of those in real life top athletes here into the world of Zwift racing with that Stages Cycling team. I believe there's a couple of them out there. So I think there's going to be two of those stages branded teams across the A and the B category, though. So CCR Race Like a Girl Hulun there as well, across the line in 10.
It's always great to see new teams and new faces out here racing. Welcome. Herd of Otters won, taking the win. The Otters were all over the shop today, and a 37.53 for the win in the Americas East Seas. ATP Racing Hive, Honey Power for second. Agawatt Fire in third. Waddy Inc. Flash for fourth. Revo Doves in fifth. No Drama Llamas moving up the ladder. Good job, ladies. We're in sixth today. The Margaritas in seventh. CCNS, the Merry Cranksters in eighth. Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, Atalanta in ninth, and then Cryogen Obisque rounds out our top 10 for the very competitive C field.
In the D category, to be Racing Buzz there with a 42.37 at 2.6, just a little bit over usual category limits, but sneaking in there at the top there. WTRL Drafting Dinos there. They're 2.0. Solid effort there, 1 minute back though. Revo Kit Kats there in third, followed up by La Mistake. It's going to be Herd of Blazing Bobcats in fifth there. Lay Watts Sisters there in sixth. Herd of Blistering Bobcats. WTRL Drafting Dinos. Herd of Bounding Bobcats. And then Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, Pele, rounding out the top 10. And that is going to be the Americas East Division 1D. At the top, though, I definitely wanted to highlight Finesse Rockets today they showed up and with a 4.7, not to be messed with. So, very, very, a statement. That's what I'll say. A statement has been made by the Rockets to say that they're here to stay. And I think we're going to have a tie at the top here because of that situation between these two top teams with Stars of Post Closet and the Finesse Rockets. Now, into the men's results, they're Ascents at the top.
They sure are. Ascent Cycling with a 32.05. Put in perspective, the Finesse Rockets, they were at 4.7 watts per kilo, which you can do the math yourself. Waddy Inc. Technopop sitting in second here, only 2.5 seconds out. Oh my, how close this one was. It was on the Rivet Blur in third. Again, this is the men's mixed A's with Base Media Racing. They fought hard for that fourth place today. And Nathan, this is the closest that we have ever seen. 1/100th of a second separating third and fourth here. That is
wow.
a
wow. I didn't recognize. I thought we were looking at a tenth, but no, it's 1/100th. And that's what you were talking about with Base Media hammering to the line and on the Rivet just pulling it off there.
I love the WTRL. It brings out the best, no doubt. Slow Twitch, nice job for fifth place. ATP Racing Ethane in sixth. Red Peloton A for seventh. Ratagase in eighth. Turntakers in ninth. And KRTA Kiss by Anthea in 10th. That was awesome racing in the A's. Back to you for the B's, Nathan.
One thing I want to say is I'm really glad we're covering Division 2A because obviously this is some very hotly contested racing. And we did cover a lot of that Division 1 in the previous season. It's great to now spread out a little bit of love across the categories here. And it's great to see these battles that have been going on. Maybe under the surface of the broadcast, but not under the surface for these riders. They're definitely battling it out here. Draft B now, we saw them sprinting the line, and they held on by 35 seconds over Ruthless Rulers for first, and then second there to Ruthless Rulers. Dirty B's there for third. I Bike B 1 minute back from that top time. 1 second difference between Z Sunset, though, and I Bike B. Heard of Charging Clydesdales there in sixth. Cheshire Cycling Racing disappearing there into seventh, it looks like. And then it's going to be ATP Racing Propane chasing the Cheshire Cats and ATP Racing Xenon there in ninth. EN Killer Bees just into the rabbit hole as we're staying with Alice in Wonderland in 10th.
Some tongue twisters out there. Cryogen Moldushat in the top spot with the win for our men's C's. It's Z Thunderdome in second. Team USMES's, so USMESC1 in third. I'll get that figured out. CCNS Vipers in fourth. Team Cayman C in fifth. The Royal City, that's Guelph up in Canada. Royal City Cycling MC1. Good job. Sixth place today. Constellation Cycling Composite C in seventh. Friends of Fast in eighth. Spokanza, in ninth, and Team Creed RVA rounding out our top 10. Spokanza.
And there aren't any D category riders actually there, so let's go ahead and see if we can find the rest of the results from the C's out there. We're going to have to take a moment here maybe to find the C's. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings then after today. Let's take a quick reload, and I hope they're updated, and they are. Let's go ahead and take over for the women's side of ours.
Thanks, Nathan. So you can see now both teams have got a win and a second, and they'll be deadlocked on top of our leaderboard here with Saris the Pros Closet with 39, Finesse Rockets with 39. But I have to say, the Rockets made a statement in France today. That's going to benefit all of us for a great season here, season 2 of the ZRL. To look forward to Cryogen Gallopant in the mix, sitting in third now. Waddy Inc. Super Kitty holding on in fourth. Seems I Race Like a Girl rounds out our top 5. It's then Agawa in 6th, Coor Sports in 7th, Misunderstood in 8th, Revo Whips in 9th, Stages Cycling WA in 10th. But Nathan, we've got 6 races to go. A lot of points still out there waiting to be claimed.
Yeah, and a lot of different ways to be grabbing the points now, as I think a lot of people are starting to get privy to fastest time for the segment, as well as first across the line being something. So I have a feeling we're going to see some different strategies coming to the line, coming to the races here in the weeks to come, and might see some change ups here. So very hotly contested still. Nobody is out of it yet, that's for sure. In the B category, ATP Racing Stingers, they're holding down with the 39 points at the top. Kyle Marie Blanc there at 36 for Egowatt Experience. So they're battling out for that third place. Herd of Hummingbirds there, fourth. 31 for CCN, so a tied there, fourth and fifth place. And then it's going to be CCY Race Like a Girl. Freya, Wadi Inc., Shipwreck there, 1 point behind 26th. Spinneman Buns. These names are awesome. Egowatt Extra. And then Fearless Furiosas. They're in the 10th place at 23 points.
Not only has the racing gone up a level for ZRL Season 2, but the names, the creativity have gone up a couple of levels. I agree. It's Herd of Otters 1 with 40 points there, Nathan, in the C's now. So they're taking over the lead, 8 with 2 wins. ATP Racing Hive right there in second with 2 seconds. Agawatt Fire in third with 35 points, only 1 point ahead of the Revo Doves. Fifth place, No Drama Llamas, right in the thick of it. They're tied with Wadi Inc. Flash now at 29. 1 point back to CCNS Barrett Cranksters. Look how close this is. Margaritas in 8th. Seesaw Race Like a Girl Atalanta in 9th. And Fearlessly's right there in 10th. As we wrap up race 2 of 8 of season 2 of the mighty ZRL.
And then it is going to be the WTRL Drafting Dinos. Revo Kit Kats, followed up by Herd of Blistering Bobcats. That's your top 3 in the series standings currently after 2 races. And then Llama Stay, 31 points in 4th. Lay Watts Sisters in 5th. ATP Racing Buzz, Herd of Blazing Bobcats. WTRL Drafting Dinos 2. And then it's going to be Herd of Bounding Bobcats and Seesaw Race Like a Girl Pele. That is the top spots the standings for the women in the series standings after 2 races. Now let's go ahead and see if we can get these men's standings updated as well, as Ascent Cycling still at the top, but they took I believe Wadi Inc. came over in as the top spot here, so now it is tied at the top here, Dave.
Yeah, both teams with a win in a second, just like in the women. It's going to be very, very competitive. So Ascent Cycling and Wadi Inc. Technopop tied at 39, 36 points in third for On the Rivet Blur. ATP Racing Athene in fourth. Red Peloton A in fifth. KRTA Kiss Myantia in sixth. Base Media Racing, great job today, guys, in seventh. Ratagase in eighth. Team USMES in ninth. And the Turn Takers, well, they're actually tied there. Both teams on 23 points, but it's stacking up in the top 10. There's a look at your table after 2 races. 6 to go.
And the men's draft B holding down 2 wins. iBike B, 34 in second there. Dirty Bees tied for third and fourth there with Ruthless Rulers. Z Sunset there tied for the 5th and 6th spot with ATP Racing Propane. It's just our cycling racing there, followed up by Gregari, Herd of Charging Clydesdales, and then ATP Racing Xenon in 10th.
All right. And here we go now with your season total. Cryogen Montushot, 40 points. That's 2 wins going back to back. Z Thunderdome with 38 points in second. Royal City Cycling MC1, 33 points, the same as Team USMESC1. So you can see they're tied there in third. 30 points for the CCNS Vipers. Friends of Fast in sixth. Team Cayman C7. Constellation Cycling Composite C in eighth. Team Creed RVA in ninth. And then we've got Team SlowTwitch.com sitting in 10th for our America's East Division 2 Cs.
And that is going to be it for our current series standings, everybody. We are going to be back in just a little under an hour here for our last broadcast with the America's West. I saw you in chat saying don't count you out, America's West. We got some people waiting for that as well. So we really appreciate all the viewers. You stick it through all day long here. Bowser Bikes has been here all day. I think Bowser even stopped in for APAC this morning. He's pulling the shift like Nathan here. It looks like on
Yes,
his
seriously.
Tuesdays. So great to see everybody that's been hanging out all day
Give him
and making
give
the
him our super fan badge, Nathan. If we have a super fan, give it to Bowser. Hey, Nathan, while we have just a second, I wanted to give out a recommendation. I just saw it the other night. It made me think of all our friends in the community. So a lot of folks in cycling is very, lack of a better term, cyclical, right? A lot of the racers now weren't involved in the sport 20 years ago. When a movie that will make you laugh if you Zwift, it's called Triplets of Belleville. Nathan, have you ever seen Triplets of Belleville? You can find it on your Apple TV. It's not that expensive. It was made in Canada, in Quebec. Actually, we have so many Quebecois friends that race with us. Well, this movie tells the story. It's a cartoon. There's no dialogue throughout the entire movie. It's all told the classic old school storytelling techniques of a bike racer. And he's learning how to race. And there's some twists and turns along the way that I guarantee you'll love. It's called Triplets of Belleville. Highly
I'm actually looking
recommended.
it up right now. The Triplets of Belleville, 2003 film. It looks like so.
Nathan,
Looks like a
this was
lot of
made
fun.
for you.
This was
The thing
made
is,
for
it
me.
came out in 2002, 2003, something like that. So a lot of our friends here would have never heard of this movie. But I'm telling you, that's why we're in a community. Today it's Dave's movie
And no, Dave
recommendation.
did not buy any stock in this movie in 2003 or any kind. It's
No,
not a reason.
I have no profit center here.
Just messing everybody, just messing. So, hey, we appreciate everybody. Stick around though. We'll be live again in a little under an hour. It's gonna be me and Dave. Kate's on vacation with the fam, and you'll see her back though next week. She was on with Anna this morning though, in the APAC. If you want to go back and check those out. Otherwise, we will be back in just a little under an hour with America's West to finish out week number 2 in season 2 for the final TTT of the day. And then next week, we'll be back for race number 3 back into points racing. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, right on.
All right.